First of all, thank you, sir, for joining us. It's a wonderful pleasure to have you. Guys, we have with us one of the owners of the distillery and I think the brand ambassador for the USA. Would you just give us a little bit of your own history, and maybe if you could, a little history on the distillery with your uncle?
For sure. So, hello everybody. I hope everybody is safe. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm excited to give you a little bit more details on Bastille. So I come from a family of cognac distillers. So we distill for 150 years. We have 30 hectares in the middle of Cognac in a place called Les Borderies. And what we've done is actually we use our know-how to distill. You know, Cognac is distilled out of grapes. So we actually use some of the finest grains. So when you know how to distill based of grapes, then you create some cognac. The idea was to select the finest grains from France, and France is known by the best Scottish producers and Irish producers to be, you know, to find the best grains in France. So why a French whiskey? Well, for a couple of reasons, starting with the fact that we know how to distill. And the second is we are actually the #1 whiskey drinkers in the world per capita, not per volume per country, but per volume per capita, 2.13 liters per capita. So, you know, there was a big bet that we took about 20 years ago when we started producing some whiskey. We really wanted to express our love for whiskey. Derek, you mentioned that my grandmother here was Irish, and the idea was to really express our love for this spirit of whiskey. So we know how to distill. We have this beautiful heritage of distilling as well as blending, and you will see that this is very important for us in the Bastille making. And then again, we love whiskey in France. So we actually launched Bastille starting with the blend that you are trying tonight. So this one is actually 5 to 7 years old. Why 5 to 7? Is because it's a blend. We use actually 2 barrels here, Sauternes barrels and Cognac barrels. So we blend them together. So it's a whiskey aged in those 2 barrels that we blend together. And then you have a whiskey which is quite delicate on the light side, with a touch of spice up front, little bit of smoke, almond notes, and a touch of smoke at the end of the palate. What do you think?
I love it. I wanted to ask 2 more questions. Where does the peat come from in this liquid, and where is your mother from, or your grandmother from? Do you know?
Well, so we slightly smoke the barrels, but you know, we try not to impact too much the barrels. So we don't smoke the barley. What we do is we slightly smoke the barrels, but the idea is not to affect too much the barrels. We love the freshness of the barrels that we use. Again, as I say, we distill for a long time cognac, so we have access to fantastic cognac barrels, as well as Sauternes. I don't know if you're familiar with Sauternes, but Sauternes is a beautiful wine, white wine from Bordeaux. And this is known to be, how do you say, almost licorice, but you know, not licorice, it's not the right name. This is very sweet. This is what we drink when we have foie gras. And so it brings some natural sweetness. And this is the reason why you have no burn up front. It makes it very delicate up front. To answer your second question, my grandmother was, and she just passed away not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, unfortunately. And she was from Cork, sorry. Cork in Ireland. I was actually working there 20 years ago. I was a bartender there. And she was as well from Scotland, so both Scotland and Irish. And then she met with my grandfather. She was a nurse in the World War II.
Wow, fantastic. I'm sorry to hear about your grandmother. I'm so delighted you accepted my LinkedIn message early this morning, and in turn joined us tonight. What do I think of this whiskey? I mean, I'd love to hear what people think. I think it's phenomenal. I had it on Wednesday night with one of my neighbors as we walked our little block here, and he was trying to find his way into a little bit smoky, a little bit peaty, and I said, this is a lovely entry point here. For people who have never had, you know, they're kind of anti-smoke, anti-peat, it's a lovely entry into it, you know. So I think it's a wonderful whiskey. It's at a great price point. It's not available in our market here. I purchased this on one of the, you know, those whiskey websites. I think Flavar might have been my first place to buy it. I know you're selling quite a bit in the US. Where's your market in the US?
So we are in 25 states right now. We're about to grow even more. We have some exciting news coming in the next week or two. We're going to partner up with some of the, you know, a nice family, actually the OPG family. So we're going to be even more present, you know, in the US market. Right now, our main market, believe it or not, is Pennsylvania,
Wow.
following by New York, Florida, and California, as well as Texas, you know, to name a few.
I reading some of your reviews of people who were attending the Basel Art in Miami, and they were commenting that they like to drink the Bastille 1789. One of the other whiskeys I'd like to feature soon, and I'll probably let you go shortly, is the single malt. Really looking forward.
Because, you know, I told you we love blending, and the idea is I love wine. You can tell, you know, I have a couple of wine behind me, and it was actually exciting to showcase my love for French wines. Actually traveling around the country, have quite some friends, you know, winemakers, and actually selected some fantastic wine barrels from France to create this single malt. So it's actually, you know, aged in 4 barrels: cognac, Sauterne, red Burgundy, and I believe we are one of the very few whiskey aged in red Burgundy barrels, as well as sherry wine barrels from Spain.
You mean cherry?
So I invite you to try this. This is quite unique.
Well, listen, I'm going to let you go. My only experience with French wine is I picked the grapes in '91 in the small town of Beaujolais.
Nice.
My back is still sore.
Derek, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy, as well as everybody, you know, to give you a tour in France whenever you want.
Merci beaucoup, Sylvia.
Merci. Thank you for having me.
Merci.
Cheers.